Hi, everyone. It's Marilyn Allori, and welcome to Who Can It Be Now? And I am like beyond thrilled with today's guest. So I want to tell you a little bit about her, and then you're just going to really want to buckle up and listen to this one. And you're probably going to want to listen to it again and again and again, besides follow her. Her name is Shantini Rajah. And I have known Shantini now. How long do you think I've known you, Shantini? Is it 6? I think it's about 6 years.
It's like 7 or 8 years now, more than
Yeah,
six.
it
Yes.
might be. So I absolutely adore her. We have become friends really lately. We communicate in on Voxer, which is an audio app. We're going to be talking about her new book, Manifest Anything You Want. I'm so excited about her book. I'm so excited for you to get to know her and to experience her. And I can tell you from my own experience, I'm going to tell you a bit about her. But before I do that, I always talk about my guest from my own personal experience. I met Shantini. I hired her as a copywriter to help me with my products. And I never met anybody. I've hired so many copywriters, and this is nothing against them, but I've never met anybody who really, really got me and also helped me to see more of myself. And you want that in a copywriter. A lot of times copywriters like approach it as such a business, or you feel like it's almost like you feel like they're blowing smoke up your butt. But with Shantini, I really felt like she was so invested and interested in my work. And we've become really good friends. And I can tell you that I'm so impressed by her as a person, how she shows up in her life, her integrity. And she's now breaking out and doing very exciting things, which we're going to be talking about. Besides, I ever want everybody to buy her book. She's going to be talking about a lot of things that she's doing that I really want all of you to start following her, because Shantini and I talk about this a lot, and I promise you she's going to get to talk in a minute. But Shantini and I talk about this a lot, about how important it is in this spiritual space to have somebody that you trust, who has integrity, who's just really kind-hearted and cares about your well-being, and that is Shantini. So Shantini Rajah is a writing and manifesting mentor and energy practitioner. I'm going to tell you something about her. She's so good at helping me and holding space for me and giving me advice and giving me tools and techniques. She loves helping conscious entrepreneurs find their true voice and manifest a life and business they love. As a trained physicist,
Yes,
are
yes,
you
yes.
physicist? Are you kidding me? An engineer? This is why I love doing these, because I didn't even know this. That's why I'm like, I never read the bio, and I'm like, I have to read her bio.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about this. Shantini brings together a unique alchemy of science and spirituality to everything she does. She has successfully worked on $1 million digital launches, and her clients are some of the biggest names in personal growth and healing, such as best-selling author and legendary energy medicine teacher Donna Eden, and world-renowned leader in transformational education, Mind Valley. Shantini is also sought after ghostwriter who has penned best-selling personal growth books for well-known authors over the years. Her writing has appeared in Forbes, Inc., Hay House Books, Elle, Harper's Bazaar, Sounds True, and more. A lifelong lover of books. I have so much chills reading this. A lifelong lover of books, chocolate, and all things magic. Love that. Shantini currently lives in sunny Southeast Asia with her husband and beautiful cats, Charlie, Charcoal, and Quincy. How are you, Shantini?
I am so good. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like blushing when you talk about like, oh my gosh, I want to say, can I quickly say, I want to reflect everything that you said, all of it. If I have never seen a spiritual mentor or teacher operate at the level that you do, you are so grounded. And at the same time, you are so magical. The world needs you, Marilyn. And I just have to get that out. I
Oh,
just
thank you.
want to say that. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I want to say something real quick to people that are listening, because a lot of people are feeling, isolated as a spiritual entrepreneur, or as a spiritual person. And I feel like they need to create more friendships like the two of us have. And we don't even live, like, it's morning for Shantini, Wednesday
Yes.
morning, it's Tuesday night for me. Um, but we are able to support each other through, all these miles and time zones and everything. And people need that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the, I think the challenges that I feel, and I think obviously I'm not the only one. I know a lot of people can relate, is that when when we are connected to our spirituality, when we are connected to our soul, it can feel kind of scary to put yourself out there in community. Like there are lovely communities, even on Facebook and stuff. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Facebook. it's like toxic, blah, blah, blah. But there are beautiful havens of love and safety within, say, Facebook, even as a platform. But it is like so hard for me. And, it's still a work in progress, Marilyn. I am trying to get into the groove of being open and being able to trust at least a little bit, and then see what I'm receiving back, instead of, rather than what I've been doing, which is like just hold back and hide here for, and watch from a distance, and then jump in and learn about a community or connect with people when I feel safe. And here's the thing, sometimes that safety, yeah, and that is a big part of my book as well, how to generate that safety from within, because sometimes you're going to be waiting, and that's never going to happen. You're going to have to go out there and connect.
I love that. So I really want to talk about how you got where you are today, but I do want to touch on something you just said about your book. Did you find writing your book that it was mirroring your life, even though you already knew the material in the book and you were already an expert of it? Did it start like showing up more in your everyday life as you were writing it, like certain experiences?
That is such a lovely question. I love this. Yes, it started, and that's a big part of it as well. Like writing it manifested it, as we know, like scripting, all of these, well-known manifesting tools. Writing it brought it, made it even more real, if that's possible. It made it even more real for me. It helped me embody and live it in a way that I never had before. And that was so powerful, Madeline. I'm so glad you asked that question,
Yeah, there
because
must
that
be
is,
a whole other level.
oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's start with the engineer and the physicist, which I had no friggin' clue, because I do want to dive into this your book that you wrote, because I could already feel the energy of this book. It has a life and it feels so good.
Oh my
Um,
God. Marilyn, she fought to be born. And I'll tell you that story later. She was like, I think of her as a she. She's really pretty. If you see her, like her cover and all of that, she's girly like me. Pinks and mint greens. She's gorgeous. And I want to say that she wanted to be born, and it was against all odds. It was against all odds. I'll talk about it later. But the
no,
physicist,
do you want to talk about it now? Like, tell
oh,
us now
okay. I'll
who
just
is
give
she, and
you.
tell us how she fought to be born. Go
Oh
with it.
my God. Okay. Okay. So so here's the thing. I have this little practice. So this is where it came from, called One Healing Breath, which dropped in for me. It was a divine download, and I know you're gonna get this. You do this all the time yourself. I heard it, and I have a tendency towards clairaudience when it comes to my intuition. So I hear a lot. So this was like a whisper in my ear, and all I heard was one healing breath. I just heard that, and I instantly knew. And it's like it's goosebumps, it's chills when I think about it even today, because there was no one else in the house except for Charlie and Chakul at that time. And and I was like, what was that? What was that? And I heard it again, one healing breath. And the knowledge just dropped in. I instantly knew what it was. I knew what I was supposed to do with it. I knew how it worked, and how it just opened up for me. I saw the whole, not the book yet, but I saw the whole path of what I was supposed to do with one healing breath. Anyway, so I started out, I created these images. So they are basically energies. So one healing breath, they are all positive, uplifting, empowering energies. And I had images. I worked with a designer here in Malaysia, and we created these images to represent these energies. So for example, one healing breath of joy, or one healing breath of calm. So we did that, and I shared those images with people, and I started talking about it a little bit, not a lot, because back then I was like, I was hiding behind the scenes still, so I didn't talk about it a lot. But anyway, over time, and that was years back, that was like 20, I don't know, was it 2018 maybe? And yeah, that was a long time ago. And I shared those images, and then I just we do that sometimes, right? Something comes in so powerfully, and sometimes it feels like it's too big for me. It felt that way because people were responding there was like a lot of buzz around it. That I shared with a friend's Facebook group, and she had like thousands of people on there. People were signing up. They were like, couldn't stop talking about it. And I was like, oh no, and I just couldn't do it at that time. I didn't even think about it as not being able to do it. I just felt I want to hide, so I hid again. So anyway, fast forward a few years, and I had this opportunity to work with this amazing writer. Her name's Amy B. Sher, and she was offering these writing sessions with, she was like, oh, who wants to, is anyone in my email list thinking, she wrote an email out, sent it out to an email, anyone here interested in writing a book? And I was like, I've always wanted to write a book. I've always wanted to be an author. So let me just talk to Amy. I like Amy. So I was like, let me just talk to her. And when Amy heard about One Healing Breath, she was like, this needs to be a book. And her whole thing is, she helped me with and I was like, yeah, sure. And I'm going to self-publish it. And she was like, no, I want you to try for traditional publishing. Please try for, and I was like, no. And I did the same thing again. I was like, oh, that's, who's gonna, give me a book deal? I'm this nobody in the middle of nowhere in Southeast Asia. No one's going to give me a book deal. She was like, just try it. So I was like, okay, you know what, Amy, let's just do it. And we created the book proposal. I shared it. We shared it. And oh my gosh. And she connected me, like she introduced me to an agent based in New York City. And that was a huge unexpected thing as well, because he's a pretty big agent, and he was like, you know what, this is a long shot, but I like long shots. Let's do it. That's what he said. And I was like, but no one's gonna, like, his name is Steve, and I was like, Steve, they're not gonna look at, like, who's gonna purchase this, who's gonna want to support me on this. And he was like, manifest it. He said, manifest it. So I was like, okay, all right, I'll do that. So I was like, I sat with it, and I was like, I'm just going to give it joy. Let's see what happens. And Marilyn, oh my gosh, even my rejection emails, because it was sent out, of course, to a whole bunch of publishers, they were lovely. People were like, oh, we love the concept of this, but we're already publishing a book on manifesting at the same time, so we are not going to take another similar title. Or people were like, I love this author's approach, and I like her writing, and people were so positive, but it's not right for us for this whatever reason. There was no one who came out and said, and by the way, I've heard horror stories where people are like, this person shouldn't be a writer. This is just,
No.
because you've got to submit like sample chapters so
Yeah.
they can see the writing. So, but it was lovely. It was so much fun. And then Llewellyn Worldwide. Oh my gosh, I love Llewellyn. Because they're all about spiritual books. They've been around for 100 years. And they were like, we love this. We're doing this. And Marilyn, I cried when I saw that email. I did not realize how much I wanted it. I just saw that email, and it was Steve saying, congratulations. And I just burst into tears. Dream, it's been like, but as we know, the universe can dream a bigger dream. I like to say this, a much bigger dream for you than you can dream for yourself. Yeah. And it's all about staying open. So ever since then, yeah, everything has been fabulous. I enjoyed my writing process. That my editors were amazing. And now she's out. So this book, despite all of my, wanting to hide stuff, she's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to put out there. You need to talk about me. You need to talk about One Healing Breath. You need to talk about manifesting. So that was the story.
That's amazing. So how do you, there's so much in that. How are you with hiding now with the idea the book is coming out? What day is the book coming out on?
June 8th this year,
June
8th, yeah.
So how do you feel about the book coming out now? Are you you're so right that the universe like dreams bigger than we dream. I always talk about that. How do you feel about that now? Like I'm really going to go and do this, or do you have any fear around it or any anxiety? What's your experience right now?
That is a great question. So a big part of One Healing Breath, by the way, helps me. I use it, obviously. So that helps to center me, and I do all of that practice work as a mindset thing, as in my heart as well, what I've come to see is, and I like to remind myself this all the time, I am but a channel. I
Mm.
am but a channel. This work comes through me. This book came through me. It is not me. It is not in that sense. I am the one in front of the camera. I'm talking to you now, Marilyn, all of that. But this work is coming through me. And when I do that, it allows me to set aside a lot of that fear and that anxiety about what's everyone going to think. Oh no, did I just make a fool out of myself for saying that
Yeah.
on Instagram? Whatever. It helps so much because it's no longer about me then. It is about the work. It is about me being a guardian for this book. So that's kind of how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It's how I used to do readings and stuff because people would come in and, I'd be doing tons of readings and stuff. And I had to remove myself completely from the equation. I was like, it has nothing to do with me. And that's why, like, if I do readings now, I'll say to people, I have no attachment to how you receive this. It's just coming through me. And so I
Exactly.
love that you shared that. My question, Shantini, have you had these downloads like your whole life?
Oh yeah. Yeah, as far back as I can remember, um, and I'm just gonna go ahead and share. I don't really talk about this a lot, but when I was little, I can see past this world, as in I can see beings, I can see other, like angels, guardians, other beings who are not of this world, even the not so fun ones, I'm gonna say. And and I didn't understand them when I was little. I was just like, oh, what's this? And interestingly enough, even the kind of scary ones didn't actually scare me. So for example, I had when I was like I think I was 7, one of and this could have been, I think for a lot of people would have been scary. I had a classmate. She was a little girl, of course, because we were 7, and she was a good friend. And tragically she passed
Mm,
because she had a bout of pneumonia, and she didn't get out of it. And at that point, Marilyn, I didn't even know what it meant when someone passed, because it doesn't, the concept isn't in my head. Anyway, I was a latchkey kid at that time, it so happened.
mhm.
And I used to be at home alone for like a couple of, back then it was like, I know my parents did their best, but there was like a 1 hour period where I had to be by myself. And the neighbors used to kind of look out for me, but I was alone inside the house. So anyway, this friend, she would appear,
Mm.
she would speak to me. And to me, it was like, oh, she's here. It didn't occur to me that she's passed and what is she doing. I knew there was something, like she wasn't like physically in this off this world, but it didn't feel strange to me. And then my parents found out about this because I used to talk about it.
Yeah.
Then they were like, and we live in Asia, and people are very accepting about otherworldly experiences in Asia. And they were like, you know what, this is not a good thing for our little girl. And so what they did was they took me to this Buddhist temple. It was a temple, it's a monastery. And I spoke to, and they spoke to them. I don't know what they said. Of course, I never asked my mom about this. Anyway, yeah, they spoke to the monks, and they did a little ritual where they closed my third eye. They closed my third. Isn't this
Oh
fascinating?
my goodness.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they didn't want me to be
To see
afraid
it.
or yeah.
Yeah.
So they did a little ritual. I can barely recall, but they chanted some prayers, and it was all, of course, in light,
Yeah,
you
of
know.
course. It sounds totally. It's just they were just trying to help you, but that's
It was for
fascinating.
protection. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then for a long time after that, I didn't see anything. But then, maybe like 10 years ago, I'd say, roughly, I made a decision. You know what? I'm actually okay with seeing, and I would like to be open to opening my third eye again. So anyway, I did a lot of work with healers, and one of them is a dear friend of mine as well, Alicia Hutzel. So we've worked around it, and it helped me more recently with Alicia. But yeah, I've been working with this for a while. I'm like, that's actually a gift. It's a gift being able to see, and I intentionally opened that third eye. Oh my gosh, this is such an interesting conversation. I didn't expect
So
it to go.
nobody does when they get interviewed by me. So when you intentionally opened it, did it open? Because a lot of people that come to me, they've closed it down for fear or religious reasons. You know, yours, I totally feel like it was a beautiful ceremony. I get like the ritual, I get everything around it. Did it open right away? Like you made the decision to open it, or did it take some time?
Sometime.
Yeah.
Took time. Because I'm thinking their ritual was probably super effective. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one thing. And then I guess my level of readiness with
Yes.
it, well, so it kind of reflected on my, yeah. And now I'm pretty much there, I think, as I was before. But these things, yeah, they don't scare me even when to me they're technically scary, but I don't feel fear when I
Yeah.
see something. Yeah, yeah.
That's great. So you went from, it's so fascinating. I didn't know this about you. When did you decide to become a physicist and an engineer?
Oh, wow. I don't come from like a really like a wealthy family at all. I come from a pretty humble beginning, but like a humble family. And financially, it just made sense to try and further your studies with in whatever way you could. So I couldn't, like, for example, go overseas to, like, I would have loved to study, for example, in the US or somewhere else. But when I was given the opportunity, and my mom was like, oh, because we come from a culture where it's like you're a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. And I wanted to be a lawyer. But my mom was like, no, I think you need to go into science because she felt like that would suit me better at that time. And then I was like, okay, mom. So I did that. And then I was like, when I applied for, to get into the local unit, hopefully one of the local universities, I did get in, and they offered me a bachelor of science. That was what I was given. I didn't particularly choose it in that sense. That was one of the options, and I was given that. And then I found that I love physics. Quantum physics
Mm,
and spirituality are like pretty much one and the same, Madeline.
yes.
They're like the same thing. It's so magical. I loved it, and I found that I could somehow, for whatever reason, when it was math on its own, I would not be able to do it. But in the realm of physics, I was really good at math. So it was just something I was meant to do, I guess. So that's how I ended up with that. Yeah.
Did you do it for a living when you got out of college or no?
So when I got out of college, I was offered a job because a lot of what I did was also in the engineering field. Some of what I learned. So I was offered a job again as what we say. You guys call it a cell phone, but we call it a mobile phone. So a mobile network. So I was in this. Yeah, I was an engineer, a mobile engineer, and I worked there in that, and that's where I met Julian, my husband. I guess it was all meant to be. I met
Yeah.
him at that office, and now we're no longer, neither one of us works in that field. But yeah, that's what happened. And I worked for 5 years as an engineer.
So when did you realize you were a writer?
Oh, I always knew I was a writer. I always
So when
knew
did
I
you
was.
decide to be a writer?
Yeah, I just was one. I used to write little stories as a kid. And then, as soon as I got out of engineering, Julian was traveling at that time, and we were married, and I was following him around, because he's setting up networks worldwide. So I was following him around. And then when we got back to Malaysia, I just applied, I tried my hand at magazine writing. I wrote for the paper, all of that stuff. And then, yeah, and then it led to, let's try this. What's this thing? What is this about the internet? It's exciting. Let me try writing there. And that's how I got into the online world.
Okay, before we go there, I have to ask for a quick question. So you're
Sure.
engineering, you're working for this company, you get married. What was the moment where you said, I'm leaving here and I'm going to write now? Was there a moment?
When I left and we traveled, I just continued writing online. I just wrote for myself. It was just something that was always there in the background. It never left me. And then when we got back to Malaysia, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be an engineer now. I haven't been for a while. I'm just going to move into writing. And I just applied and tried, Yeah.
So Shantini, do you feel like, because I'm hearing a theme in your stories, and I want to know, do you feel like when you say yes to yourself, you're manifesting?
Oh, that is fabulous. You ask great questions. Um, yeah,
Okay.
that's true. But even and I and and that's one of the reasons why I have this as a big piece in my book. Understanding what your true desires are is the most important. What are your true desires? Not what the world wants for you necessarily, not what your parents want for you, not what the culture says, whatever. It's about what you want, what you truly want. And that takes time to kind of, get there. Because a lot of the time we think we want something, but maybe that's not what we really want, right?
So it's so true. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, about how your book is going to help people to discover their true desires, because
Ah,
we have these dreams, and then we don't realize that maybe they don't really serve us any longer. And then so to find those true desires, how does your book help people uncover their true desires?
ooh, okay. I'm excited about this. Okay, so the first thing I have that I that I want to say about that is my book is, I love manifesting, obviously. I love everything that has to do with manifesting. Give me vision boards and visualizations all day. I love them. I love, love, love them. But I want to say that um I happen to like, and this did I chanced upon this, but anyway, I discovered that doing all of the work, all of the things, the tools, the techniques, all of this stuff, it would work sometimes, but not regularly or reliably, mainly because, and I promise I'm coming to the true
No,
desires
I know
piece.
you are.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, I could not, if I did not feel safe within myself, it it didn't, like, the energy didn't flow. It wouldn't, I would get some of it, but not all of it. Or I would get a version of it that I'm like, not so fun. I would get a job, for example. I would manifest this client, and I was like, from the outside, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a dream to work with this client. And I would manifest them, and they would turn out to be really different from what I thought, and wouldn't be fun. So this generating of safety within myself, so I didn't even feel safe for the longest time, um owning what I truly want. I did not feel safe about that. I didn't feel safe about being me and wanting what I wanted. So having that foundational, and the one healing breath is a big piece of that. It's I call it a micro action manifesting and micro action meditation tool, because it takes a moment, but that's all it takes. Small moments many times a day, connecting with yourself, calling what you need into yourself, and getting into that place of inner safety. And as you keep doing that, it starts to kind of you start to feel it. You start to feel, okay, I'm okay. I'm okay now, because I have a lot of anxiety,
Yeah.
Marilyn. I had a lot of anxiety. I still work through it sometimes, but it's something that I've been, that it's just something that I have. And one healing breath initially helped me a lot, changed my life in terms of releasing that anxiety in a healthy, safe way, and not covering over with, just saying positive affirmations and actually not feeling it. So it's about that general. So the whole book actually, at the end of the day, is about teaching, and I learned this on my own. And it's also about sharing how we can find that inner safety generated within ourselves, even when there's chaos around us, and manifest from that place. Identify our true desires and manifest from a place of inner safety, and safety, feeling safe being yourself.
That blows me away, actually. It really does, because it makes absolute 1,000,000%, like so much percent, it makes sense. Because I think about all the things in my life, the things I didn't manifest, I wasn't feeling safe. And the things I did manifest, I felt safe. And
Yes.
just somebody recently said on my Instagram, I did a quick little reel about like moving here and not knowing where I was going. And I kind of just did it. And she was like, I would love to do that. I'm afraid. And I was like, wow, fear never even came into the equation moving up here. So there was this safety, like I was actually leaving what I hated. So I was leaving the fear to go into more of a safe place. That makes total sense to me, Shantini.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad because I
Yeah.
feel it's not being talked about
It's
enough
not.
in the manifesting space. But yeah, overall, right? Overall,
No,
a lot
because
of
if we're not truly, because I think about like even with my TV show when they were shopping me around and I was going through big executives, I didn't feel safe.
there
I
you
didn't
go.
feel fully safe. So that's why like everybody should think about when they manifested. That is the big, I've never heard anybody say that ever,
Oh
what
my,
you just said.
oh my gosh. I'm so glad we're talking about it because it's such an important element. Because I also have like this little equation. Manifesting is the process of change. And our brains, even this is a bit of science, our human brain is wired to resist change
Yeah.
and can't tell the difference. There's a part of our brain, the lizard brain, the ancient brain, that can't tell the difference between a good change and a change that isn't good for you. So if you are unconsciously resisting that change and you're fearing that change, manifesting is change. That's what it is. It is a process of change. We are
Mm.
never gonna you may want it with all of your heart, you love it, you're devoted to it, but when there is that internal resistance and fear of that change, even when it's good for you, yeah, we need to learn how to generate safety around what it is that we want to manifest. So that's a big part of what that book is about.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So let's keep unpacking the book. So people who want it, because I just can't wait to buy the book. When it's out
Mm.
June 8th,
Yeah.
I can't, we're probably going to be we're recording this on April 30th, everyone. So it's going to be out, I think on May 23rd is the date that the podcast's out. Can people
Cool.
pre-order it then? Do you know?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
they'll pre-order it and I'll
And
share
it'll be
the.
on Amazon.
Yes, it's on Amazon, it's on bookshop.org. If they order it directly through Llewellyn, my publisher, they get a 20% discount during
Oh,
the
wow.
pre-order phase. And then I also have like these exciting bundle, a gift bundle for anyone who pre-orders. And if you happen to be listening to this before the end of May and you want to go check it out, there's like a program that I'm creating. It's called the Business Blueprint to Manifest Anything You Want, and it's for spiritual entrepreneurs, and I'm using the pillars and concepts in the book and customizing it for, I'm going to be teaching it to spiritual entrepreneurs. And I also have a whole bunch of one healing breath. Oh my god, these are bespoke images that I've created along with my designer, which you can use as part of that whole manifesting process with one healing breath. That's in the book. Yeah.
Oh,
So
we may have to move up the date so that people have the opportunity. It's so great. So the book
oh,
is called Manifest Anything You Want: 6 Magical Steps to Your Extraordinary Self.
to an extraordinary life. But
Extraordinary
extraordinary self works too. I love that.
life. Right. Six
Love
magical
that.
steps to an extraordinary life. So
Yeah.
let's continue talking about the book because I want to talk about some terms things you brought up to me that are new to me. Like I never heard that safety thing, which was like biggest aha moment. Let's talk about toxic positivity and how it
Oh,
can get in the way of our ability to manifest our desires. First, explain to me what toxic positivity is, and then explain how it gets in the way because I've never heard that statement either.
okay. Oh, okay, cool. So, toxic positivity there's, I used to like kind of like I have an intuitive I used to have an intuitive understanding about it, but there's this, oh gosh, the name of the author escapes me, but there is a book called Toxic Positivity. I talk about it, and I've named the author in my book as well, but I'm so sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's called Toxic Positivity, and I read about it in the book, and I was like, oh my gosh, she is defining everything that I've always felt. So here's what it is. So this is a definition. It is feeling, and especially, and I'm going to use this in the context of manifesting, especially in that space. There's this kind of background pressure in being positive and high vibe
Mm.
all the time. Like it's
Yeah, that
a
bull.
huge,
Yep, keep going.
yeah, right. It's like that. Oh my gosh. There's even like a meme. I've seen it and I love it, but it's funny, but there's like a lot behind it. It's like get your bad vibes away from me. And there's this image of Robert De Niro looking really fierce
That's
as a guest. He's like, get
hysterical.
your bad vibes away from me. And that thing about, oh, we need to be high vibes and our frequency has to be high. Otherwise, we're never going to manifest. We can't align with the universe. Oh no, blah, blah, blah. And that in and of itself. So toxic positivity is feeling sad, or maybe deep in your heart, like in that moment, you're angry or envious or any of those unwanted feelings. You're frustrated, annoyed, whatever it is. And you're like, no, 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 no. You have to remind yourself, no, I need to be happy. Let me go chant my positive affirmations
Right,
and get
right.
out of this. So what happens is it's all well and good in the moment, perhaps, but that feeling underneath, where does it go? It's there. We are not processing it. So I like to say that the universe, and I've had this happen to me, by the way, a little funny story that's related to this. I have some lovely friends and they're all well-meaning, but there was this one incident that I can recall. I talk about it as well in the book, and I wrote about it, where she was like, I was having a bad day. So I was like talking to her. She's my friend. And I was like, oh, I'm having such a bad day. I'm having a bad day today. And she was like, the universe hears you.
Oh my goodness.
It's
Oh
just
my
like,
goodness. No.
she's like, don't say bad day. Then I was like, what do I need? Then what would you have me say? And she's like, okay, when you're having a bad day, say you're having a good day. And when you're having a good day, say you're having a great day.
Oh
And I'm,
no.
hello? The universe isn't going to be fooled by me using words. The language of the universe is the language of our emotions.
Yeah.
And we need to honor and love and respect ourselves and do what we need to do in the moment and be real. And then have that safety again around what we feel. And I have processes in the book for that. I have lots of I have a whole bunch of stuff in the book that will help us process that emotion with the one healing breath and a few other techniques. And then from there, we get into a space of genuine high vibration. We are not covering up. Toxic positivity whether we are conscious of it or not, it's a lot of it has to do with suppression and pretending. So we want to come from a place of genuine positivity and safety, always safe.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
always.
I was going to say because that toxic positivity, and I looked up the author, it is Whitney
Oh,
Goodman. Whitney
yes,
Goodman.
thank you so
You're
much. Oh my.
welcome.
Oh,
We had a little bit of technical difficulty. We will do the best we can to edit some of that technical difficulty out. But when you have two powerhouses, especially Shantini's power, the universe was just like, woo, this is very exciting stuff. So we were talking about toxic positivity, which is great. I just appreciate what you're sharing with that because I can recognize that that does not set up a feeling of safety. If we're not allowed to have our emotions, and so many of us sensitives, we're not allowed to have our emotions. And if somebody's saying, don't feel that, and I know that's a fear-based thing right away. And then I want to know your feelings on it. To me, it's a fear-based thing. And then you don't feel safe in your emotions, and then you're trying to cover things up, then you can't possibly get to your truest desires, correct?
maybe. And you're so right. I agree with you. It is a fear-based thing. Everyone, and a lot of the time, people around us love us and they don't want to,
Yeah.
they just want us to feel better. Like, stop crying, whatever it is. Like, it's okay, it's going to be fine. And there's a lot of dismissiveness in that, even as when we were kids, right? Like, stop crying. There's nothing to cry about. All of that. It's very dismissive. And it's not necessarily coming from a place of being dismissive, but we end up learning that it's not a good idea, it's unsafe. Some of us are even punished actually as children for being upset or crying, all of that stuff. And we realize and we feel, oh, I long before you even learn how to manifest and read your first manifesting book or whatever, you already have that within yourself. Oh, I got to put on this face, I've got to be smiling all the time or being brave all the time. And yeah, when it comes to manifesting, that doesn't really, that's not going to work well. That's not going to work well at all. And the world of manifesting in and of itself, and again, it's not like it's purposefully done this way, but it does encourage a lot of positivity, which is an excellent thing. But this positivity needs to rise from a genuine place, not from, oh, I need to be positive, otherwise it's not going to work for me. That's coming from fear anyway. So yeah, so I'm so happy I get to talk about toxic positivity in a book about manifesting, because I feel like there's not a lot of that out there either. Like there's not
No, because a lot of manifesting books kind of just, to me, just go over the surface of it. It's
yeah,
not like deep, like the way you're going at it from a very, which brings me to the next question for you.
yeah.
'Cause it brings it to a very, it's a really good foundation place. But you also talk about accelerating the manifesting process with the energy of joyful play. And I
Yes.
think a lot of times, and I want to hear what that is to you, because a lot of times it's like, you got to do this meditation, you got to do this visualization, you got to do this, you got to do that. And it feels like work and it's hard.
Yes.
So, and everything you've described has been like, felt very truthful to me. So, what about the joyful play? Like, talk a little bit about how you accelerate the manifesting process with the energy of joyful play.
Okay, so because we have those 6 steps, right? Like 6 magical steps to an extraordinary life. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
part of the book. So joyful play is actually later down the line, because we do need to build out our safety muscle, our, we need to identify our true desires. So I lead people through that whole journey. And then by the time we get to that chapter on joyful play, we are already, we at least have an understanding of what safety feels like in your body. You can do all of that. So with that said, joyful play here is about, we are taught how often, and I'm just going to ask this question right now, like openly, and I would love like your listeners to ask themselves this. How often were we ever encouraged to, oh, play more, play
Mm,
harder? You're playing, yay, good for you. How often in our lives
mm-mm,
were we ever, and I come from like, okay, it's hard work, and that's great. I'm not saying there's no place for good old-fashioned hard work and effort and all of that stuff. But I got to a place where even the fun things were hard. Everything was a to-do list, everything was ticking things off. And the energy of the universe, and I'm going to go down a little bit on the woo side here. The energy of the universe, to me, it's unconditional love. It's almost childlike. There are a lot of childlike qualities around that. It's unconditional love, it's genuine, it's curiosity, it's wonder, it's awe, all of these energies. And a lot of that is contained within the energy of joyful play. So when you step into that space of, and I have, again, as I said, my book is full of like tools and techniques. So I have techniques and processes around, and a big part of that, again, of course, is the one healing breath. It's getting into that space of seeing what is around you, and even like sort of gamifying, like making a game out of things like doing the laundry or doing the dishes, allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to actually have fun. Because a lot of the time, like with me, Madeline, I'll confess this, even going on vacation was like a job, because I did it. Right? I got to get all of the travel details. I got to make sure the passports all, hasn't expired. Let me get the itinerary and make sure that, it wasn't fun. And, even though I had like, if I'd managed to manifest a fabulous vacation, I could never experience the joy of that manifesting, that result of of my manifesting efforts. I could not experience it. I couldn't enjoy it. And at the end of the day, what's the point then if you manifest all of that and you're not having a good time? So yeah, so that's a big part of, to
It's
answer your question.
it's so good because all the techniques and tools that you have really feel like they help you align with yourself in a way that helps you to really manifest from, like you've already said, a very truthful, honest place. There's feels
Yes.
like there's a level of consciousness to this that I'm okay. So sorry guys, I am I'm not used to recording at 7 o'clock at night. And
Sorry, that's fine.
my animals are starting up, but I was talking about like, and everybody knows that follows me that I'm very like, I just go with it. You're going to hear the dog drinking water in the back. So this is all bringing you home to yourself. It feels like
Yes,
all the work that you're doing.
absolutely. Absolutely. It is all at the end of the day. In fact, the original name of the book, the title was Manifest and How to Manifest Anything You Want by Being Yourself.
Oh, wow.
Original title, but it was like pretty long, and there was like, it went through this process. So yeah, but yeah, that was the original title. It was actually about it's about being safe within yourself, knowing what you want and giving yourself that permission, partnering with the universe to live that life, to live the life that you truly want. So yeah.
So Shantini, I mean, besides the principles that you've already talked about, and they're so good, what makes your book different than the books that have been out there about manifestation? Why do you feel like, I mean, it's so incredible you're getting published with such a big publisher. There are books about manifestation. Why do you feel that this book is really something that people need right now?
Oh, that is again a fabulous question. I just want to say that it is, I guess the world, where do I begin on this? Okay, let me just like get my thoughts together. So there's a lot going on in the world, and a lot of us, um, especially if you're an empath, you identify as a spiritual person, we feel a lot. And I feel like, while and just to be clear here, as I said, I love all of the manifesting tools out there. But in the current environment that we're going through, and I'm thinking that it's been like even since the pandemic and all of that, there's been so much upheaval, change, switching around. There's a lot of discord and people like division, all of this. And I feel like, I want this book, when it comes to manifesting anything you want, this book is about being able to stay true to yourself while being aligned with your values. If you want to help others, you want to contribute to the world, but at the same time staying true to yourself in a way where you are not just fragmented by all of this that's going on. And I'm thinking that, to be really honest, I feel like a lot of the work that is out there, like Googleable manifesting techniques, does not actually take into account all of the chaos and all of the stuff that a lot of us are going through right now. A lot of people go through this even in their personal lives, and just, simply chanting affirmations in and of itself. Yeah, that's great, but that's not going to be enough, especially at this time. And that is where my book, I feel it truly addresses this. It helps us accept where we are now and how we feel, and at the same time value ourselves, love ourselves, and get into that space of creating what we want, what we genuinely want, from a place of true joy and true safety. So yeah, I hope that made sense. But that's
It does. It makes complete sense. And I also think like people are frustrated with manifestation. And I feel like your approach to it is it's a journey. It's the 6 steps that are in there, right? That teach you. It's very layered. It's very grounded. It's very, it feels like you anchor into something that's quite remarkable. So it feels to me like I'm going to encourage everybody to buy this book, because once you get into that, you're shifting something pretty big
yeah.
inside yourself that is just going to have a rippling effect to business, to everything you do, right?
Absolutely. You nailed it. Yes, exactly. You said it so well. Madeline.
So
Perfect.
because I'm not manifesting. Oh, well, he's like on the thing. Let's talk just a tiny bit more. I want to know how, just a little bit about how manifesting an avatar and working with businesses, how it can really change the way you're doing business. How this process can also help business owners.
Ooh, Oh, love this. Okay. So the manifesting, I think a lot of people are familiar with the concept of the future self, the concept of the future self and the visualizations of, so the future self, just in case, I'm just going to say the future self is about, this version of you that is, to summarize it, there's a lot more to it, but to summarize it, it's the version of you that already has everything that you desire, whatever that, for example, in business, if you're just starting out and you're like, I'm dreaming of I don't know, a 6-figure business or whatever it may be, that version of you. So if you do the future self visualizations and exercises, it's about that. So how is the manifesting avatar different? How is the manifesting avatar different? It's when I experience, like when I've done future self visualizations and I love them, but I do feel personally, I've experienced this and I've worked with clients around this, it can feel really far away. Like it's like, oh my gosh, it's all the way, I don't know where it is. It's there, but it's like I can barely feel it. I can barely feel the energy of it. The manifesting avatar is technically a bridge. It's the version of you that's between where you are now and that ultimate future self. So that avatar is the version of you that you can bring into the now, and there's a practice around that on how to do that, meeting your manifesting avatar. So what you're basically doing is, what you're essentially doing is you're bringing all of those traits, the characteristics, for example, if you're afraid of speaking in front of a camera as an entrepreneur, it is and your future self has that element, right? The manifesting avatar is about bringing that trait into the now, being able to switch that on when you need it, and stepping in front of the camera. So you're basically manifesting that future version of you in the now. You are aligning with that version of you right now, and you're doing the thing that needs to get done for your business, so you can move it forward to where you want to go. You move the business forward. Yeah.
So that makes total sense, because you are actually, I don't know if you're realizing it, you're buttoning up from what you said from the very beginning,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
about hiding. And so many spiritual entrepreneurs, they have big dreams. They're in their
Yes.
heart. They've had them for a while, and they don't feel safe with bringing them out into the world. But if they do this work that you're talking about in your book, they're going to start feeling that safety so that they can start bringing their dreams out into the world. And then they're going to start being able to manifest the business that they really desire. That's what it feels like to me.
Exactly. You so get it. I'm so happy. Thank you. Yes, you reflected it exactly. And the avatar, by the time you get to the point in the journey where you're going to be working with your avatar, yeah, you have this foundation already, and you can now bring that in, and you can use, and I use it like all the time. I'm using it now. Being, I love you, Marilyn, as you know, and if this were off camera and we were just chatting, I could go on for days with you, you know that. But being in front of the camera, knowing that it's on I love your podcast, but knowing that, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on Marilyn's podcast, it can feel like a lot. So I use my manifesting avatar exercise to get into that space where I can do it. And it doesn't, I'm not like freaking out here and wanting to like, oh, I need a drink or whatever. I don't have to get into that space. I can just be here, enjoy myself with you, and love the whole process.
Yeah. And the other thing you're not doing is forcing it. Like, I think
No.
a lot of us try to fake it and we force it. And then it's like, I've done it. I've showed up on television. Someone's like, what? And I'm like, oh, that's so not me. But I think everybody else is doing it. So let me do that,
Take it till you make it. Yeah, we're not about that over here. We are not about that. That doesn't work, at least not for long. Not for long.
No, and with everything that you said, it's not truthful. So then we're sending mixed signals out to the universe. Therefore, we're not creating what we really desire. We're not
So
manifesting what we desire.
that is such a big piece, Marilyn, because a lot of the time we are manifesting someone else's life.
Yeah.
It's not ours. What others want for us. It's not our life that we are creating and enjoying or experiencing. We are manifesting someone else's life, not ours. So yeah, exactly. No fake it till you, no toxic positivity. Yeah, there's no room for that here.
I am so excited. So what I want you to do now is there anything that we didn't cover in the book that you would like us to talk about besides the fact that everybody needs to buy it and where they can buy it and where they can find you and all your
Oh,
details? But is there anything that you want to share that I didn't get to ask you because of all the disruptions of the computer
oh,
and the puppy and he's like
it,
ripping up every pillow, but I'm like, just do it.
oh, I can't hear him at all. I think I can see his little ears, but I can't hear him. And I love having him in the room. I love animals, as you know. So no, you did an amazing job asking me. Oh my gosh, Madeline, can I just say that in-depth, like follow through of what you asked? Thank you, because that is even more amazing than what I like. That's so you covered everything, basically more than enough of what it is like I more than what I wanted to share in the sense that I didn't expect it to be so lovely and so deep and I enjoyed every minute of it. So thank you. Yes, I'm more than happy with this. Yes.
Good. And me too. And I'm so impressed by everything in the book that I haven't even read it yet. Like, I can't wait. And I love all the techniques and the tools because you're really gonna, I think books that have techniques and tools help you to have an experiential experience. And you need books like that because we read things, we get a good sentence out of it, but it doesn't change our life as much as a book that has techniques and tools that people can practice and
Exactly.
really experience the change.
Exactly. That's why I like to think of this as a course or a program or a live experience that is in the form of a book. That's kind of what it is. Yeah.
Great. So tell us again, like all your details, even though they'll be in the show notes, but all the details of where they get the book, where to find out about you, and anything you want us to know, even if it's not relating to the book, because Shantini is magical. So anything.
Um, thank you. So where was I? Yes. So the book, if you want to get that gift bundle and you're listening to this before the end of May 2024, then you can head on over to manifestanythingyouwantbook.com. Manifestanythingyouwantbook.com, and you can get all of the details there, and you can get the book at 20% off the sticker price if you purchase from Llewellyn, and they are my publisher. And then if you want to find out more about me, and I want to say thank you in advance if that's you, you can head on over to shantinirajah.com. That's SHANTINIRAJAH.com. And then you can also find me on Instagram at Shantini Rajah, and just look for me on Facebook with my name, Shantini Rajah. So
Great.
yeah.
Love that. So it's Shantini, SHANTINIRAJAH
Yes.
.com. Great.
That
That's great. Thank you so much, Shantini. I can't wait to get it. I can't wait to pre-order it. So I will go through Llewellyn because I want the bundle. I want everything. So I'm so excited.
gosh. Oh my gosh, Madeline, thank you so much. It is such a pleasure. I am so lucky I get to be your friend. I bless the day that we met. I feel so blessed that we met the day that we met. And I'm so happy to have you as my friend. And you do amazing work in this world. You
Oh,
are magic. You are magic. So thank you.
thank you. One thing I've learned from Shantini is how to receive love. All right. Thank you, Shantini. All right. So for anybody who's watching on YouTube, I'm going to show you the nightmare that is
Oh, that's
just going after the pillows. Luckily, I don't care
so
about pillows because I have a
cute.
new cover. Um,
Oh, no. Oh
Shiloh,
my, look at his paws.
say hi.
He's cute.
So we'll leave that in the video and so it'll be on
Love
YouTube. Thank you, Shantini. I love you. Thank you so
you too, Madeline. Thank you. Bye.